This segment on Let's Draw. Coming up next, we have Cicada 3301, an internet mystery. This video talks about a mystery posted by an anonymous user online, but for now, let's talk about typhoons. This seems a bit off topic and weird, but trust me, this is going to be very interesting. I feel like you guys are going to be more interested and enlightened about this, so let's go on. Recently, a typhoon has hit the Philippines and Vietnam, and to really just sort of give you a scale on how bad the typhoon was or is or was because it hit before, we're gonna be comparing it to the strongest typhoon that hit the Philippines, which is the country that we are going to be talking about today. Uh, Joining me on this episode, we are going to be joined by Nilbai, the weather guy, studying in meteorology and computer science. Now, we are going to be doing an online interview, so we gotta give him a second to join up, because he is still preparing. We can't really rush him. And I think that's him. Alright, um, let's wait for him to get ready. Alright, hello?
Yes, hello.
Hi, alright, welcome. I can hear you loud and clear. Alright, what about the audience? Type 1 in chat if you can hear him. Hearing a lot of ones. Alright, it's finally nice to meet you and talk to you about this.
Yeah, thank you. It's finally great being here. I've loved your show. I've watched it for quite a while. I'm such a big fan. It's
Thank
it's just
you.
finally an honor to finally be here in front of you and all the audience.
That's great. Alright, before we proceed, can you introduce yourself, I guess?
Oh yeah, of course. Hi, my name is Nilbai, also known as the Weather Guy on TV, and I study in computer science and practicing meteorologist.
Ah, that's great to hear. Now, you've told me that you're really interested in this stuff like statistics and natural stuff like storms. Why is that?
Well, the reason is just it's nice seeing change in people over time and to see what things people are doing wrong. Like, let's say a typhoon was going to hit and people did not evacuate. The death count and injury count would be higher than if the people that didn't evacuate than if people did evacuate. So if people didn't evacuate, the death count would be higher, and if people did evacuate, the death count would be lower. And
Yeah.
eventually, we can apply different ways into making protecting people from typhoons and other natural disasters. And then slowly over time, we can implement these, and then the numbers get lower and lower. And then eventually, we will have an almost foolproof system because foolproof systems against typhoons are not possible because
Yeah, that's right.
there are so many factors that we have to go into.
Yeah.
And it's not just typhoons, keep in mind. We can also apply this to other scenarios like school or work or other hobbies that you have.
That's great. I love to hear it. I can tell you're extremely passionate about what you do. Now, tell me about Typhoon Vamco as well as the other typhoon we're gonna
Yeah,
compare
so
to.
Typhoon Vamco was a super typhoon that hit the Philippine Islands recently in last year in 2020 around November. And we're going to compare it to the super typhoon Yolanda, which hit the Philippines in 2013. And the reason we're going over those statistics instead of Typhoon Vamco's statistics is because it's just sort of to give you an idea on how deadly Vamco really was. Now, first of all, Typhoon Yolanda statistics, which was the strongest history to hit the Philippines so far, and it killed 6,000 people and displaced 600,000 people, I think, from their homes, and that keep in mind, 600,000 is only 6% of the population. But this hit a small area, and that area was really dense, so it definitely affected a lot of people. And now, talking about Vamco, it only killed 67 people, but keep in mind, compared to Yolanda, uh, it isn't that much. But keep in mind that the area that hit Yolanda, they didn't evacuate. People underestimated on how strong Yolanda was, and very, very little preparations were made. That's why the
Yeah.
death count was so high. That's what I was talking about earlier.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
for Vamco, everyone was forced to evacuate, and people knew how strong this typhoon was, so very little deaths occurred. So it's safe to say that preparation is very important.
Yeah, I see. So it's clear that the preparations are important. So could you give everyone watching or listening tips on how to stay
All right.
safe?
Of course, yeah. Preparation probably is the most important thing, especially before the typhoon hits. The most important part because Once the typhoon hits, it's very deadly. There's very strong winds and there's very heavy rains. Floods are going to rise. So, probably the most important thing is evacuation because if you don't evacuate, the the area that's affected will definitely not be suitable for living conditions.
Yeah.
Um, you will also need to prepare a first aid kit and probably some food and water and if you could a radio, but most of those are supplied by the evacuation center that most cities have. So um, it's really I wouldn't say nothing to worry about, but it's definitely some important thing to have a first aid kit because you don't know what could happen, especially during a typhoon.
That's right.
And
Mm-hmm.
once you have evacuated, you only have to worry about yourselves because especially if it's a category 3 or higher, most of the city is going to be flooded. Most of the homes are going to be destroyed. First, you have to worry about the homes, but you have
That's
to.
right.
I feel like you most have to worry about yourselves in this case. And after the typhoon, obviously, there is going to be flood everywhere, but it's going to have to take days up to weeks to remove all the flood. So after the typhoon, I think you have to just stay at the evacuation center. But yeah, I think that's all. I think that's all. Remember, evacuation, first aid, food, water, and then stay put once the typhoon hits. And then after the typhoon hits, don't go back until you are given the clear by the government or any higher power.
All
Uh,
right.
I think that's it.
All right. Thank you for being on the show here today.
Yeah, it's been fun being on the show. It's such an honor to be here. Well, I have an important business meeting due in like 5 minutes, and I'm gonna go now because
Yeah, I
I
can tell
need
you're a
to
busy
get ready with
guy.
all my works and papers for that.
All right.
Anyways, it's been fun. Bye.
All right. That was Nilbai, the weather guy, on the interview on Siphon Statistics and Safety. He's a really great person to talk to, and I hope he's doing well. Anyways, coming up, we have Cicada 3301, an internet mystery.